Hey everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. Sunday, March 21st. Getting close to the end of the first quarter of 2021. Time's flying by here. So this is where we take a look at the week that was and look ahead, see if we can see where things might be going, identify some stocks to watch. So let's get down to it, shall we? So here's what we got for earnings coming up. Let's start out with that. We've got GameStop. Should be interesting. It's definitely been continues to be of interest. A lot of traders are still trading this, and it's I think hanging around $200 right now. Probably by most measures way over valued, but again, uh, let's see what happens on Tuesday after the close. What they have to say. We got Winnebago Restoration Hardware, KB Homes could be interesting. We've got Blink Charging Company, and yeah, a smattering of other companies coming up, Momo. So it should be an interesting week. Well, and we've got some economic data coming out as well, which should add to a little volatility. And as you know, we've been worrying about interest rates, but that seems to be maybe dying off a little bit. The next or the latest worry is taxes, possible tax increases coming later in the year to pay for infrastructure. So maybe traders and investors have already forgotten about the interest rates and moved on to this next worry. So we'll see what happens then. The pre-markets. Let's take a look at what we got going on right now, and I kind of feel like maybe with this lowering of maybe concern of the interest rates now that we've had the big scare and it's kind of been pushed to the side. Maybe we're going to get a bit of a rotation back into the Qs, and that's kind of what I'm looking for next week. So you can see here right now we're pretty flat on the Dow. The S&P really a little bit in the red, but nothing to speak of. We've got the NASDAQ in the green right now, and that's turned green over the last little while. All the indexes were red when I started looking at them. And again, the Russell looks a little bit on the flat side, not doing anything. And you can see here, let's take a look at the US Treasuries. Treasuries are down, so interest rates pulling back a bit, which they also did on Friday. Some of the commodity prices, all of them are down right now: oil, natural gas, gold, and silver. So we'll see if that holds. It's a long time between now and the open, so we'll see what transpires between now and particularly as we get closer to the open. Now let's take a look at some of the indexes we watch. TLT, this is the price of the 20-year Treasury bond. Treasury, it is up a little bit. It was up Thursday. It was up on Friday, so we are getting a bit of a bounce here after that push to almost 1.8 on the yield percent, pulled back. And you can see we're getting a bit of a bounce. And if things continue the way they look at in the pre-markets, we probably will get a continuation move higher, but I'm still thinking this is definitely a downtrend, and you'd have to see a lot more bottoming action, or at the very least break of this downward sloping trend line to call a bottom on this. And but we are pretty oversold on the yields and these bonds, so should say oversold on the bonds. So we could be due for a bounce. You can see here this weekly really overbought on the yield side of things. So could be definitely due for a bounce here, which we're seeing. On the daily, transports had not a bad week actually. You can see here indecision candle on the daily Friday. And on the week, we were still up 0.18%. FedEx had a good earnings report last week, and probably contributing a lot to this gap up here. But we're pretty overbought here. You can see here we're over 70 on the RSI, really extended on these stochastics. So I'm almost expecting to see a little bit of a pullback on the transports, but no significant change in direction. We're still well established in an uptrend. Here's the Dow on the daily. We had a bit of a sell-off, especially into the close there. Maybe some reluctance to hold things over the weekend, and also we had that quad witching hour on the Friday, and so added to a little bit of volatility into the closing hour there. So in the Dow on the weekly, we were only down 0.46%, so not a bad week after we did push to an all-time high. So again, still in an uptrend. We could pull back to this 20 moving average. We are still pretty overbought here, so maybe there's going to be a bit of a rotation back into the Qs. Speaking of the Qs here, it looks like we could be putting in a higher low. This downward trend that we were on here, they could draw this trend line. You can see we have broken out from it, and then we've maybe checked back, pulled back here. And this is kind of a logical area to find support, this 310 level. You can see here that was resistance, kind of became support in this area here and here, became support here. Bit of an inverse head and shoulders on this. You can see here's the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So be looking for a continuation move higher, and definitely 325 is an area there'll be some resistance, and even some of these moving averages now are resistance. So we'll be watching this pretty closely on Monday to see where we finish the day. If we finish below this 310, it could spell some further downside to the 300 level again. But volume was pretty good on Friday. It's been good Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on the Qs. And the weekly here, you can see we're down 0.75%, 74% on the week. Again, the weekly still holding this 20 moving average. Again, we're pretty into a pretty critical area here. If we can't hold, 300 could well be the next level of support. The SPY, again, daily not so great on Friday. And let's take a look at the weekly here. We were down 0.84% on the week. Maybe putting in a double top here. I'm not sure we're in for a big sell-off unless we really get something radical happening, like with the yields, or more news confirming tax hikes. But again, we're still holding this 20 moving average, and we're still in an uptrend, although we may be sort of flattening out here and getting a bit of consolidation. Not a bad day on Friday for the small caps. We ended up on the day 0.75%, but on the week we were down almost 3% on the week. So pretty significant pullback again after pretty much putting in an all-time high, and then we pulled back. But again, we were pretty overbought here, really extended, and so probably not surprising. We are still quite a ways from this 20 moving average as well. So we probably need to do some consolidating to get back sort of closer to this moving average, like you kind of see here, where you get pretty extended from the moving average. And then you just do some consolidation. It comes back in, holds this line, and then goes higher. Are we going higher? I am hard to say, but I'll be looking for a little bit more consolidation here on some of these indexes. The dollar was pretty strong on Friday, although we did finish well off the highs of the day. Again, volume picked up a bit on the dollar. So I think it's relatively strong right now in the pre-market. We'll see what happens, but again, as the dollar strengthens, we'll have some pressure on emerging markets, gold and silver, and maybe oil, and that's probably why you're seeing those commodities trade down in the pre-market. Bitcoin, again, looks pretty solid here. I don't have any to speak of. But again, we're just holding this moving average here. Obviously, the big level to see this make a move next would be through 60,000. So let's take a quick look at some stocks I've got on watch here. Here's a small dollar value stock. It's AIKI, Aikido Pharma. So kind of interesting. It looks like it's ready to fill this gap here. So I'll be watching to see what it does on Monday morning. Volume's starting to pick up a little bit. It kind of looks interesting. RSI is curling up. The only thing is stochastics are getting into an overbought area. And anyway, that's just for people that like small caps. BABA kind of looks interesting here. It's kind of stuck in this range. I'm going to watch to see if it can actually break out of this 240 level. If it can, we could be heading up to 250 and then maybe even 260. We've got a gap to fill here around 253. back in this area. So just watching BABA. Stochastics are heading up. MACD is starting to pick up. RSI is looking good. So all the indicators look pretty good on BABA. Fuel cell, looking at this as again, this is kind of looks like the Q chart almost. Got a inverse head and shoulders, sort of the left shoulder, head, maybe the right shoulder here, but it looked like on Friday it kind of held this 14 level. So I'll be looking for this one to push higher and see if we can get some rotation back into these growthy stocks. FUTU, again, coming down, holding this 50 moving average. Again, this is an area where we had some support before, filled this gap here. And so I would expect this 130 level to hold. If it doesn't, obviously it's heading a lot lower, back down to maybe this 120 level again where we had. So I'd be watching it both ways. Either it's going to hold here or it's going to break down. Lumber Liquidators is another one that I've kind of found interesting. It's holding this 200-day moving average, which is a strong moving average. You had some pretty decent volume on Friday, so I'll be looking for a continuation move on Lumber Liquidators. Olin, I got into this one, and it really just blasted off as soon as I got a hold of it. You know, it broke out here from this prior resistance level, and I sold it when it really got quite extended here up into the 42s. And I'm glad I did because it pulled back. I was expecting more of a pullback actually, and maybe we will get one next week. But again, stock that got really extended from this moving average. So when they get that extended, there's just it's just not sustainable. At some point, they definitely pull back, and you can see it was a big volume day on this reversal as well. So out of that one for now, but watching to see what it's going to do. PLTR, again, this is another interesting one. This level of about 2250, 2260 is a pretty significant area of support. So I'd be looking for it to hold that. And again, if we get some rotation back into these growthy names, PLTR could be one that people seem to like to play. Peloton's another one. This is looks like it's put in a double bottom here. Got back up. It came down to almost touched 100 here, and now it popped back up on Friday. So I might be looking for a bit of a continuation move on Monday if we get a again if we get some rotation back into the growthy names. And again, this RCCI, this pulled this really broke out. You can see it broke out, then pulled back, and it's pulled back pretty much to where it broke out from. So I'll be looking to get involved in that one if we get a nice continuation move. Silver, I'm just keeping an eye on. These things are narrowing into a pretty defined range. I'm expecting them to break one way or another, but if the dollar continues to strengthen, not keen on it. Probably going to struggle. Again, VISL, it's got an alert set from this one for about 380 if we can break out and hold above that. Energy did a pretty significant pullback here after getting a little toppy. You can see RSI got really overbought. Same with the stochastics here. We got pretty overbought, so now we're getting a bit of a pullback. I'd be watching for energy on the stochastics to drop back below this 20 level, and might be good for a bounce on an oversold condition. And yin again, might get some more action here if we get a this is the China Bull ETF. If we get BABA moving back up and some of the other Chinese stocks, yin could have a nice run here. Looks like it's put in a bit of a double bottom, and we could possibly play off that next week. MACD's kind of rolling up. Histogram's gone positive. Not liking these stokes though, and the unbalanced volume still declining. So jury's out on that one. Okay, so that's it. Again, I'd be watching to see if we get a bit of a rotation back into some the more tech-focused names next week. Let's see how the yields, if the yields do pull back, I think that'll sort of bolster that thesis. And just watch the price action on some of these, and that might cause some other indexes like the Dow to maybe pull back a little bit more here. But this is the kind of market that's getting a little bit more choppy, and definitely have to be a little more agile with your trades, and just keep your stops in mind as well. So be selective about what you get into. This is my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, if you haven't checked it out, and of course talk a lot about managing risk, etc. when you're in this type of environment. So yeah, hope everyone's had a great weekend again, and we'll hopefully see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room in the morning, 8 o'clock. Jared starts things off with his overview on the market. Norm and Carlos will take you through the pre-market, looking at all the different stocks in play, again live on YouTube. And then we'll trade in the market open at 9:30. So hopefully we'll see you then. Have a great rest of the weekend, whatever's left of it, and yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow. Ciao, everybody.